Okay, this is now the Visual Tarot Part 2, and I'm hoping I'm more centered. The problem is I've got a new camera, a different camera, and it's on a tripod. And if I move, I set it up, and then if I inadvertently nudge the camera as I'm pushing down the record button, it can get shifted to the left or the right. There's no need to tell you that, but that's what happened yesterday. Okay, so this is part 2, and it's mainly going to be looking more at RightNote, because I've recorded a screencast, and it shows you additional information. I'll try to remember to put the link to the tarot card cross-reference section in the notes. And the other thing is I've got various ideas or points that I want to make about the tarot and how to read it. But I'm also thinking that I'll go through comments that people have left on earlier YouTube videos and ideally incorporate the answers to people's comments and questions into the RightNote database that we're in the process of developing. So that's it for me for the moment. And so coming up is the important part of part 2. Okay, thanks a lot. I'll see you in a couple of days. Bye-bye. Okay, this is the Visual Tarot Part 2, and I thought I would continue on for this part and probably the next few, and I would just build up the information that we have, or that you would be able to download for yourself and enter into your own version of RightNote. If you're not sure about what RightNote is, you need to go to part 1, and I show what it is and how to get the free version of the program. So I want to make 3 points in this video and give you more information. So if we start here with 78 cards, I'm going to just draw a little line under here. So I was thinking, so this is the thing, you've got information, you've got ideas in different notes and different files. And when you think of something, you come back to it and you make a note, or you add a little bit more, or one thing leads to another. Because I was thinking about 21, instead of 21 plus 1, it's 3 times 7. It's 21. Then plus 1. Okay, so if we've got 3 times 7, that means that we could organize the major trumps from 1 to 7, and then another line from 8 to 15, and then another one from 16 to 21. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 it should be. 14, and then another one from 15 to 21. So we've got 3 groups of cards, the Magician through to the Chariot, then we have the 8th card through to Temperance, and then we've got the Devil to the World. And it's as if those 7 cards kind of belong together. There's a group of 3, and that can get us seeing connections or wondering what the Devil and the World have in common, because they're both part of that 7 card section, we can say. And the other thing is, it's easy to think of physical, mental, and spiritual, a way of dividing up life into physical, mental, and spiritual, which is a 3-category way of organizing things that is probably going to be quite familiar to you. So that can get you thinking, okay, if one of these groups of major trumps from 1 to 7 is physical, mental, and spiritual, and so what do? Do we begin with the Magician through to the Chariot is physical, and then so we've got the Devil through to the World is spiritual, we would say? Or is it the other way around, that actually from the devil through to the world is physical, and the middle one is mental, and then from the magician through to the chariot, that deals with spiritual lessons. Or if you've got if the magician or the high priestess comes up in a reading, then having a spiritual understanding, whatever that might mean, is going to be important to the questioner, or is going to be important as part of the answer. And then I'll come back to this later, or you can add some more if you want at the same time at the moment. Another thing was I had looked at typical questions. So somebody might typically ask, will I have children? And last time we looked and thought, okay, if the answer is yes, then we talk. What if the answer is no? What do we do with that? So maybe what we do is we look at the card and we use the card to explain why not. Will I have children? And the example that I opened the deck and picked a card at random, and I got, if I can find it here, don't want that. Okay, I went to here, which is this sacred card, or sacredtext.com. The link will be in the description. And then I got the Ten of Swords. So again, I'll show you what to do. We right-click, save image as, and I'm going to save it to the desktop, and it's the Ten of Swords. And then we go back to Write Note, and then at this point, okay, we've got coins. We need to go here and add swords, O-R-D-S, and then we go to here and we right click and we add a child, and it's the Ten of Swords. So in here, the Ten of Swords. Now at this point we go to insert picture, and we go to the desktop, and we've got, if I can see it, 10 swords. Okay, so now we've got the illustration as part of it. So the question I'm thinking of is, will I have children? And the answer is no. And so we're saying if it's the 10 of swords, S-W-O-R-D-S, reversed. So because it's upside down, it means no, generally. So we look at this 10 of swords, and it's answering the question, why will the person not have children? So we look at it, and maybe because it's swords and because it's upside down, maybe there have been miscarriages and surgery because of it. But even if there haven't been miscarriages, you have to wonder if the person really wants children. Or maybe it's because sometimes people want children because they think they ought to have children. So I think with the 10 of swords reversed and the question, will I have children? And you have to say no, or not yet, or not the way you currently think, or not based on what your expectation is. So you have to talk about what the card is indicating. And this makes me think of something else here. I'm going to put, and I don't know what to call it, so I'm going to call it general points. And so the thing is, when people are in a difficult situation, let's say you're unhappy at work, often when we're in a difficult situation, we ask for, or we think that the solution is the opposite of the situation that we're in. So if we're in an unhappy relationship, you think, if only I had a better boyfriend or girlfriend, or husband or wife, that would solve the problem. Or if you're unhappy at work, if only I had a better job, that would solve the problem. And so often what we ask for, or what we want, is like the opposite of what we don't want. And it's a kind of an antidote. So that we think, I haven't got what I want now, but if I had this thing, whatever it happens to be, then everything is going to be okay. But the problem is that often, because it's just the antidote, it's not really what we want. So if somebody's unhappy with work, and they want a promotion, and they ask, am I going to get a promotion? And you get a reverse card saying, no, you're not going to get a promotion. It's something for you, the reader, to be aware of, that it can be the reason they're not getting the promotion because they don't really want it, or it's not a solution to their problem or what they think is their problem, or it's not the right time for a promotion because they're asking for something that they think is going to make everything better, but it's not. So I don't know what to call that general point, so let me write down ANTID, antidote, and that's going to be shorthand for me to remember the idea that sometimes people are in a difficult situation, they ask for what they think is going to be the solution, but all it is the opposite to the situation that they're in. So maybe what you do is you get the questioner to think differently or think more about what they're asking or what they're asking for or what they're asking about, because with the 10, this goes back to this 10 of Swords here, and the question about will I have children. It can be that because 10 is the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one, it can be that they've been through ideas about having children, but they only thought about the good side of it and not the bad side. You can say that there is no bad side of having children, but it's one thing if you're keen to travel the world and be free, a child is going to get in the way. And maybe what's better is to hold off thinking about having children until you're more settled. So that can be so with the 10 of Swords reversed, it's as if the person's maybe thought vaguely about the situation, but they didn't do it thoroughly. So if they were to go back and reconsider, they would discover arguments against having children that they had not really seriously considered. They just passed over it. And if they were to rethink things and recognize that there are downsides of having children as well, because I was told if you have a child, it's 20 years out your life. You know what I mean? It's as if it's not your life anymore for 20 years, where the child is growing up and going to school and all the rest of it, and you've got ups and downs with the child. And the first child is, you practice on the first child because you don't know what you're doing. You've never done it before. And people can tell you and give you advice and help you out, but still, when it's 3 a.m. and the child's got toothache or is teething, it's only you're the one who's going to be wandering around, bleary-eyed from lack of sleep. So it's a bit like if you're not having children because of the 10 of Swords reversed, if you think through what you've ignored or avoided about the reality of having children, then you'll be in a much stronger position. You're better to go into having children with both eyes open, probably. But with the 10 of Swords reversed, it's a bit like you're going into it with both eyes shut. And the tarot is telling you, or the fact that the card is upside down, and it's swords, and it's a 10, it's a bit like, this is not a sensible thing to do. Because somebody else could have got, maybe they also haven't considered seriously what's involved in having a child, but they get the sun upright. They're going to learn as they go, and they're going to enjoy it, and it's right for them. And even though they haven't considered it and they're going into it with both eyes closed, it really doesn't matter because they're a different type of individual. Okay, let me stop at this point, and I'll come back in part 3 and we'll add a little bit more to what we've got going here on the left hand side. Okay, thanks.